Welcome along to EXFL Tier 2 Season 12. We are here for round 18 out of 20. It's the Mexican Grand Prix. Here in Mexico City, we've got 18 minutes ahead of us, just under 17 now, left of qualifying before a 36-lap race, the most laps, well, joint most laps of any race on the calendar with Brazil and Austria. We have 16 drivers at the moment. We should be expecting, I think, 2 more. There was a bit of hassle right at the end before we went in as we tried to get 2 people to join, 2 new people. But I'll explain that in a minute. The 2 we're waiting on are Dello, might have to invite him in a minute, and another new driver. But for now, yes, we are here. 3 races to go then, and both championships still very much undecided. First and second in both, well under 10 points in the single digits. We have Oren, championship leader, 16th at the moment in the pit lane, leading only by 7 points. There's Dello, that's good to see. 7 points ahead of last week's race winner, Samurai, winning in the States at Texas, has closed the gap down to just 7 points. And then in the constructors, it is Aston Martin with Oren and Callum, leading the way by 9 points ahead of RB. It's a 2v1 tonight with Callum and Oren versus Yonder, who usually tends to start at the back of most races. So we'll see how it goes. Yannick, unfortunately, not racing. There we go. Just turned Dello to pick the Merc. As for others, so yeah, Fnatic wanted one of his mates to join, I think from IOR, which is the guy who's still joining, I think. And Jack, or, you know, whatever his gamer tag is, that's just his name rearranged, wanted IOR. I had an issue with Noah, the Dutch Dodo. I don't know if it's Dodo or Doodoo, but I'm going to go with Dodo. Because the other just sounds like an insult. So yeah, Jack wanted him to join, so he's reserving in the Sauber. And then, what was his name? V-Dubs Gaz will join in the Alpine. So those 2 will make their debut tonight, I assume. We don't want that. We want that. There we go. So Cookster's set the pace at the moment, 15.7, just under a 10th ahead of Eggy. Cow a second off, and Deadgun 1.5 seconds off. I believe the guy who's joining, his actual name is Gareth. And as for IOR Dodo, I don't actually know. It was so last minute, so I didn't really get everything down. But for now, Garouche has gone half a second behind. Birdie's on his outlap as Callum goes to within 2/10 of Cookster's time. Fnatic once again just setting the laps apace. Birdie out there who helped make it a Williams 1-2 on track last week, but unfortunately due to penalties dropped him to yet again another P4. Only 1 podium to his name in 30-odd race starts in Tier 2, but he's slowly but surely building up to where he was at the end of last season. And he's kind of had to rebuild himself again for this season instead of the promise that was shown. But we'll see what he can do. 3 races left. His teammate is trying to win the championship in the drivers. And Williams have a very, very outside chance at the constructors, being 48 points behind with 3 to go. Right, we're getting more times on the board now. We've got Samurai 1.3 down, but he's already 9/10 up in the first sector alone. Warren out there on the hard compound tyres, like he always usually did. P8 at the moment. Warren has scored his first points of the season, or singular point of the season, last week in Texas. Simon in the Sauber reserving as well, in P9, in a Ferrari sandwich. Birdie currently on his lap, 28.3. I think 3/10 off his teammate of what he's doing right now. Dello exits the pit lane in the Mercedes, and Toby's out there about to finish a lap with his teammate just in front of him. Goes up to P5. There is V-Dubs Gaz, who will hopefully join the Alpine and make his debut as well. Then we have Yonder, who again, like we said, will probably be at the back. Oren, who's come around the final corner, championship leader, has entered every race apart from last week, comes back to Mexico, and he puts it on provisional pole by just under 2/10 ahead of Cookster. So we'll see what the Williams can do in response. Birdie's gone 10th. He's already crossed the line, and Samurai went 4th, both before Oren, actually. So the Sound was just in the pit lane. I believe he was joking when he said he's a second quicker than Fnatic. And we know Fnatic has won twice in the last few races. So that would be a bit worrying. But I believe it was a joke. And Fnatic even cleared that up. There's V-Dubs. Apparently, if you're wondering the pace of V-Dubs and Dodo, apparently they're around the pace of Jack in P13. We'll wait to see if that's true or not. But even if they're a bit quicker, a bit slower, they should fit right in. Right, so 11 minutes to go, 18 people. Let's see who can get pole. For now, Oren is back at the front, and this second half of the season has been a very hit and miss for the Aston. Some races, he's untouchable and winning. The others, he's struggling to enter the top 5. Hungary, he won. Belgium, he DNF'd. Netherlands, he won. Baku, he was 6th and had 65% tyre wear after 4 laps. Somehow. Singapore, he almost won. Just missed out to Dello, who's now a race winner. So it's great to see him back. Dello, of course, 1 season on from his first podium in EXFL Tier 2 in Ferrari. So that's great to see how far he's come. And then Vegas, he had that incident with Samurai, the top 2, now official championship rivals for season 12. And that dropped him to 8th after penalties, but he just wasn't really on the pace. And then last week, he didn't even do. So it's been a bit here and there, but it looks like Mexico is a track that Oren much prefers. The last 3 do suit him a bit more than the last few. If he wants to hold on to this lead that's been closed down by Samurai, there was nearly 50 points at one point, to now just 7. And Oren, who's had success at both Mexico, Abu Dhabi and Brazil in the past, is going strong. He's up by just over a 10.5 with 1 sector to go, trying to extend his advantage. As Dello pops himself 6 thousandths in front of Cookster. But Oren should look to extend his margin now. Cross the line, and it'll be a 15.401. He finds just under 2/10 of improvement to extend that advantage. Samurai, who was in a very similar position to Oren this time last week, with his mega pace in both qualifying and the race to convert both, exits the pits just behind his rival. But it looks like Oren's back on top now. Right, Dodo's still in the pit lane, but we're about to see V-Dubs for the first time. Set a lap, and we'll see what he's like. Any other improvements? I mean, it's pretty close from Dello down to about Grush. Toby lacking a little. Then Cal kind of best the rest with Warren. As crossing the line is Callum to make it an Aston Martin front row lockout. Now, Callum did say, when I asked him what's next, are you focusing on the constructors, getting higher in the standings for yourself, or helping Oren out? He said he wants to win. Simply, he wants to win a race. And at a track where he lost the championship 2 years ago in Season 8 to Logan, making that crucial spin, finishing 5th, allowing Logan to win with a couple races to go. Wouldn't this be quite a great story if he won at Mexico tonight? Anyway, we're looking back to the Alpine, 28.3, not a bad sector time actually. I think that was what Birdie was doing. And we know what Birdie can do as soon as he gets to grips with the track, with the pace. Yonder, invalidated again. Still haven't seen the likes of Dodo exit the pit lane yet. 58.3, middle sector for the Alpine. Into the stadium section then. Gets on the power, slowest section of the track. Easily, it's where you need all your wing. Put the power on, and we'll see what he is across the line. This is going to be quite a few seconds down, and he crosses the line, and he is about half a second off Jack at the moment. So, I mean, he's fit for Tier 2, I guess. And as for Dodo, there he is, I believe, exiting the pit lane, or is that Simon? Oh, it's Simon. Never mind. So yeah, 2/10, the margin from Oren to Callum. Quite a good gap to have. Obviously, pole at Mexico isn't the most ideal pole in the past. It's probably the most useless pole, but it's still a pole. And considering the slipstream on this game, it's still a good position to start. As Samurai goes to within 11 thousandths, the top two in the World Championship, showing why they are the top two, giving it their all. 11 thousandths separate them now. That was a very much needed lap time from the Williams. And it's not often we've actually seen these two be the 1-2 in qualifying or the race this season. I think the only time we've seen it is when they finished 1 and 2 at Austria, when Samurai was chasing Oren down. As for qualifying, I'm pretty sure we have not seen these two on the front row together. But there's something about the final few races that just awakens when we know who is going to fight for this championship after early speculations. It could be 8 drivers, then to about 5 drivers. It always usually comes down to 2 people. And they show why. They always do. Right, I think V-Dub's just improved then. Found half a second and pipped Jack for P14. What about Birdie? He's out there, but he's invalidated in his first sector. Deadgun just on the outskirts of points at the moment. Well, the top 10 for the points. Eggy claims to have... He thinks he's fixed his black screen issues, which have caused quite a bit of unfortunate results in the last season or so. He claims he's fixed it, and then has made the... Well, not the threat, but the statement that if it isn't fixed, then Abu Dhabi next week could potentially be his last race, which is very unfortunate. So fingers crossed he's fixed it and he can carry on. That's both Mercedes in the top 6 as well, and Aston's. It's Cookster is about to begin a lap. Longest run down to turn 1 on the entire calendar. Blasting his battery to gain as much speed as possible. Keeping over to the left. Does he use the curb? He does. Braking into turn 1 then. Hitting the inside apex very nicely indeed. Through the left-right chicane. Over the bumps. On the power. Slight wiggle as he hesitates with the traction. DRS open. Blasts more battery. He's got a McLaren in front of him of Grush, who should hopefully get out of his way. 13 thousandths up. Misses the apex on the left-hander. Hits the apex on the right. Gets the power on. The second most technical part of the circuit. Hope that guy doesn't pick a car, but I think I've seen a few of them join like this before. Into the middle sector split then, chucking the car in is Cookster, hoping it sticks. The corner's coming at you. Right, left. Right, then left again, making sure not to invalidate. DRS open, probably one of the most useless DRS straights on the entire calendar, but he's up by nearly a 1/10 and a half. Into the stadium section then. So easy to go wide and invalidate your lap. Hitting the apex is nice. Getting the power on. Slight hesitation through the right-hander. Using a bunch of the curbs. Stomping on the power. Slight wiggle to the line. And we'll see what Cookster can do. Crosses it and does improve his lap time. Doesn't improve his position. But gets well close to Dello and Callum. And with just 3.5 minutes left, is Cookster fueled enough to go again? As the rest will gear up to exit the pit lane soon. We'll now see what Grush can do, as he's got quite a bit of traffic in front of him. The Ferrari of, I believe that's Jack. Grush, who's no stranger to taking pole position this season, has had 6 of them, but for the last 6 or so races, I don't think has even seen the front row. So he's got to give it his all. Jack gets out the way. Grush found 100th in the first sector. So similar to Cookster, finding increments of time in the first, but it's all in the second and third. The Red Bull gets out of his way of Cookster, repaying the favour. Grush takes a lot more of the inside curb onto the grass, which is usually the line for this in recent games. Continuing his momentum, keeping over to the left, trying to find that bit more time, which he has. So it's a pretty much identical looking lap to Cookster in terms of improvement. And, well, Grush needs it because currently this improvement is still not enough to improve his position. At the moment, he's fighting Eggy for 6 unless he has a mental final amount of pace in the last sector. Crosses the line then, does Grush. Crosses the line and goes to third. He did find a heap of time in that last sector. Grush is up onto the front of the second row. And with 2 minutes to go, he might be able to go again. Everyone leaving the pit lane now. Oren exits. Samurai and Birdie already in sector 2. Dello still in the pits, now exits. Followed by the 2 Haas cars, who are always usually the last 2 to cross the line. And that's the Alpine and V-Dubs still in the pits. But everyone else is out there, including Dodo, who we've not seen before. So we'll see what he can do, just getting out of the way on the grass of everyone. But these final runs are going to begin, and there is a heap of traffic from turn 1 down to turn 8. All led by, I think, Grush. And then the 2 Ferraris. Heaps of traffic. That's Callum coming around the final corner to begin his lap. As the 2 Williams are pretty close to one another. Is Birdie going to give Samurai a bit of slipstream? We'll see, because Birdie's still got to worry about himself. But we'll see then. Birdie giving Samurai the slipstream on his final run. 11 thousandths is the difference. Will Birdie move to the right and let him go? He will. So Samurai has been gifted an opportunity here, but doesn't exactly hit turn 1 perfectly. So he's got to make up for it, or has he just eradicated the advantage that Birdie's given him? Oren now starts his final flying lap. And Samurai finishes the first set split, and he's down by a 10th. He did not hit turn 1 correctly, even after being given that slipstream from Birdie, who's sacrificed his own quali, because I don't think there's enough time for him to go again. So Samurai has just got to give it everything, make up as much as he can. Oren sliding out of the first chicane, trying to find any more improvement. And I'm sure there is still time for the Aston to gain. Finishes the first sector split. 0.3 of a second up is Oren. And Samurai will finish the middle sector split. 13. I don't know if that was 13 thousandths up or that was someone else's. But Samurai coming around the final couple corners, giving it everything. Right now, he's lacking. Callum now goes to provisional pole by 57 thousandths. Can Samurai snatch that away across the line for one of the championship protagonists? No, he can't. He stays third. But at the moment, Oren is going to absolutely blitz Samurai's time. He's going to blitz Callum's time. Cooks to 6th at best. Right now, it's an Aston front row. But who's going to get it? No real chance of invalidation for Oren now. Left. Warren goes 4th right at the end there as well. As Grush now pips into 4th. But Oren across the line. Oren takes pole position. And Eggy goes on to the front row. Oren 15.004. We're nearly into the 14s. And we see everyone else now begin to cross the line. Dodo goes 13th. And across the line, Dello makes it 2 Astons and 2 Mercedes in the top 4. Here come the Haas cars. Toby's 9th. And what about Fnatic? Only 11th for the Hassers. And Jack's in the pit lane. And we wait for Dubsy's invalidated. And Yonda will probably start at the back. So once again, like it was in Baku, Oren's on pole, Eggy's on the front row, and then it's an inversion on the second row of Dello and Callum, and Samurai has dropped to 5th. Grush will accompany him on the third row in 6th, and Warren, P7 in the end. Great lap time from him. Cooks to 8th, Toby 9th. Cal managed to get into the top 10, splitting the 2 Haas cars. Then Deadgun, then Jack, then Dodo on his debut for P14, just ahead of his teammate 15th. Birdie down in 16th, as Dubs on his debut 17th, and Yonda will start P18. That is the grid. Both Astons in the top 4 with the 1 RB last. 9 points between them. And then 7 points between Samurai and Oren, 1st and 5th. And we know what happened the last time Samurai and Callum were next to one another on the opening lap. Hopefully that does not happen. We're waiting for Dubs to retire in the pit lane. But yeah, wow. Statement made from Oren, who's seen his championship lead close, and now he has to respond, and he certainly has done. But yeah, Eggy once again getting a great lap time in the end as well. Mercedes and Aston. In terms of pit stops and safety cars, that could prove to be quite a question mark. However, we genuinely haven't had a safety car since round 7. So it's been 11 weeks, 11 races in Tier 2 since the last safety car. But it could still happen. It's got to happen one day. And we'll see about strategy. 36 laps. Could it be a 2-stop? Dry, slightly overcast for the race. Medium, hard, 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 medium, hard, medium, medium, hard. Who knows? Or maybe just the standard medium, hard, or hard, medium. We will see. And I wouldn't discount Birdie starting at the back, who can definitely make his way up. He's no stranger to that. Remember, he started 17th last season in Singapore and won on track. But the penalty obviously dropped him down to 4th. I think he finished 4th here last season. He lost 3rd on the last lap to Dello, who took his maiden podium. And Birdie, well, he's trying to get that first podium of this season as well. It's just been quite baffling how many times he's finished 4th or 5th, but you never know. And as for those at the front, they got it all to play for, especially 2 drivers who know what's on the line. And there's a lot of battles behind in the championship, but obviously the main one will be between Oren versus Samurai. Formation lap will begin then. Aston on the left, Mercedes on the right, followed by Mercedes on the left, Aston on the right, and then Samurai and Grush, Warren, Cookster, Toby and Cal. Let's have a look at tyres. So, there's only 2 runners in the field who are starting on the hards, and that is Cookster and Birdie, who wants to go long into this race. And already, Oren and Dello are parked on the formation lap, so that won't help them. That might give Eggy some impotence. And then Dodo deciding to start on the soft, so he might gain some good ground at the start. And Birdie, it's always around lap 6. The hards tend to be better than the mediums. We should see him close up the order, because really there's not much to lose behind, so not a bad choice. Whoa! That was definitely a hit with... Was that Simon? It was with Simon. That's not going to help. Look at the grass on his tyres. Dodo taking his qualifying line at the back. A bit goofy, but anyway. Eggy now leads the formation lap. Don't need track map for now. We'll just leave it on that. Yeah, 3 races to go then. 75 points left on offer in the drivers. 129 points left on offer in the constructors. And only a single-digit number separates the top 2 in both. I've seen randoms join across this season, but that's a new one, I think. Obviously, it's too late, but yeah. Anyway, top drivers heading in to their parking positions then. They can already see Oren and Dello on the left parked, so will Eggy slightly angle himself towards Oren. Just a bit. Same with Callum. Samurai slots into 5th then. He knows he's got to gain some ground, because right now 7 points would go to 22 if it finished like this, but this is Tier 2. Anything can happen. And the gaps are always usually much closer in the race compared to qualifying. So here we go then. The longest run down to turn 1. Expect the unexpected. Chaos, strategy, racing, 5 lights on here in Mexico City. It's lights out and away we go. Oren and Eggy across each other into turn 1. Who's ahead of the other? Oren moving to the right to cover off the Mercedes, who's going to have the inside line. It looks like the top 5 have stayed where they are. 3 wide as Oren finds himself in a Mercedes sandwich. Who's going to lead into turn 1? Oren just about hangs on. Dello to the inside, still fighting away with the Aston Martin. They go ghosting within one another, but it's Dello who now leads ahead of Oren, ahead of Eggy, all separated by within a 10th of one another, but Dello leads. Oren fighting back to the inside, wants to regain the lead. Warren fighting away with Samurai in the background and has gotten ahead of the Williams. Dello elbows out into the lead. Oren's not done with him though, to the inside. They give each other the room. Dello on the momentum has gone from 3rd to 1st on the opening lap, ahead of Oren, ahead of Eggy. Grush up to 4th as well, and Callum's had a horrible start. He's down to last. What's happened to the Aston Martin? As there's a big kerfuffle led by Jack for the last 5 cars. But Dello leads out ahead of Oren, Eggy, Grush, Warren, who's going to be quite an issue for others, but he's all over the back of Grush looking for 4th place. This is Warren like we've never seen before in the last couple seasons. And to the inside, bounces over the curb, gets ahead of Grush, but he did off the track. So that'll be a little looked at. There's Samurai with a switchback. Could he get the pair of them to the inside as they're both on the power? And Warren drops down, gives the place to Grush, and that allows Samurai to get ahead as well. And while these three battle, it's allowing the top three to get ahead. Samurai blasting all his battery, trying to get in front of Grush. Will opt for the outside line. No swaps in the top three. Samurai breaks pretty evenly with Grush, and to the inside, Toby out of nowhere, fighting away with Warren as well. So that's a big fight for 4th place as the top three stay as they are. Oren finds himself in a Mercedes sandwich. Samurai looking to the inside, can't quite get ahead. And Fnatic as well, the Hassers making moves. Slight tangle between Warren and Fnatic there as Cal, for the first time in a while, has not seen himself in last at the end of lap 1, as there's still a big fight with the last 5 cars. Birdie round the outside of Simon, and Jack holding his own against Callum and Yonder, making slight contact there. So DRS will get enabled, and that'll help Samurai on Grush. That'll help Oren on Dello. Let's enable everything else. Biggest gainer at the moment. Up 4 places is V-Dubs as Simon's left. Quickly pan it to this. Right then, we start lap 3. Dello, 60%. Oren, 50%. But let's see if he can close in and retake the lead. He's gaining, but he's not blasting. Dello is, and he's got a yellow fuel light as well. We see Samurai close behind Grush. They're both very low on battery. Toby's got plenty to use, and the two Hassers really making a charge at the moment as Warren has fallen down. It's good to see Warren fighting very well, though. Usually, if that was older Warren, younger Warren, he would have probably wiped out Grush or Samurai. But no changes at the moment, even with the inclusion of DRS. Warren defending on Cal, though, who's trying to go round the outside of the Ferrari. Gives him the room. Just about. Cal has to find a gap. Squeezes Warren slightly. Bit of contact between them. Warren hangs it round the outside of Cal. Has the momentum. Warren hangs on. Good bit of driving between the Ferrari and the Alpine. Rubbing is racing. Cookster hanging on to the top 10. Dodo's nearly into the top 10 as he's between the two Red Bulls, as Jack still holding his own against Birdie, who must be hating how much he's being held up by this pack and being left by the pack in front. And same with Yonder, same with Callum. I do not know what happened to the Aston there. As we got yellows, and that's a Red Bull of Cookster, who's gone around. So that promotes Dodo up into the top 10. And Cow, who's dropped down. So there may have been an incident between them two, as Deadgun fighting away with the Sauber. Samurai and Grush once again, very low battery. Oren right on the back of Dello. Eggy nearly lacking a second behind these two. And he has lost DRS now as the two Alpines swap. V-Dubs and Dodo on debut in the top 10 now, as Deadgun all over the back of the Sauber, tries to hang it around the outside, goes to the inside, and we have a swap for the lead. Dello and Oren side by side. Oren around the outside, now goes to the inside, and it's swap because Dello's forced Oren off slightly, and they're still side by side. Oren loses the car slightly as Cooks now gets a penalty. Dello hangs on to the lead ahead of Oren. Sorry, they were inverted, but now Oren finds himself with a mirror full of Mercedes behind him. As Warren now gets a penalty. He's dropped down to 13th as Birdie is up to 12th now. Just shows how much can change in one lap. They're swapping all over the place. Yonder's now up to 13th as Warren has been tagged. We saw Yonder's hand go in the air as Cal now gets a time penalty. Those are going to be crucial as well. Top 3 pretty separated. Grush closing up to the top 3 in fact. So Samurai maybe just staying behind for now. Toby and Fnatic also doing the same. The top 7 are probably the 7 contenders to win this race, because Deadgun behind, somehow in 8th, as we have more yellows all at the back. I think that's Warren. It's gone from bad to worse, unfortunately. But diving into turn 1 then on lap 5, Birdie 11th, and those hards should be helping him as he's closing up to Cal. We'll look at that because it looks like there's a move happening, and Birdie finds himself into the top 10. Toby putting Samurai under pressure, making him have to overtake Grush, but with no battery. And once again, the Hassers phenomenal on their battery. We could see an overtake, maybe even a double overtake from Toby, who I guess has a bit of proving to do. That Fnatic's come in, kind of stolen the show at Haas, being the lead driver, getting wins recently, and Toby's been left behind a little, trying to even stay ahead of him in the Drivers' Championship as well, as Warren's out in the pit lane. And also sandwiched with, I think, Yonder as well for 6th, 7th, and 8th, or 5th, 6th, and 7th in the championship. So Toby wanting to get a better result here and there as Dubs now gets a penalty. Looking at the top three, pretty equidistant from one another. Grush has lost about a 10th to them on this lap. Samurai lacking a bit. Looks like his battery just isn't quite up to par with those behind as he's trying to attack Grush. And he's blasting. And now Toby can see the red light flashing. No swaps at the front. Dodo now gets a 3-second time penalty. So the inexperienced in the tier starting to get theirs. The most experienced, you'd assume they probably won't get one. Yellows as Birdie gets past Deadgun. Wait, what is that? Oh, it's Warren's car. I thought someone at the front had a moment. So yeah, Warren's car just disappearing there. No swaps in the top 7. Birdie now has cleared half the field from where he started. 16th up to 8th in 6 laps. It was a dreadful first couple laps, being in the clutches of around Jack and whatnot. But he's managed to clear them all. So very good stuff from the Williams. But 9 seconds to the front. We'll see how that closes up before the first round of stops. And Deadgun's doing well still to hang on, but there was quite a few incidents. Callum is struggling to make his way up. Does he have any damage? No, well, visibly, he still has both end plates. And Yonder, not doing half bad, but Birdie, a master at recovery at this rate. We haven't seen as much because his qualifying has been getting better recently, so he hasn't had to make up much ground, but today was a bit of a reminder. 2 Alpines swapping, Cow back up into the top 10, and Dubs staying behind. So these 3 are fighting away as Warren's left, but he's out, so it doesn't matter. Sliding around, Cow, who loses the 2 positions as Dubs and Yonder fight away. So that promotes Yonder into the top 10 as Toby has got past Samurai, who's just really struggling on battery and maybe tyre wear too. So Yonder into P9, Dubs into 10th, who's trying to regain the position. Looks like there's no more swaps in the top 7. And side by side between the RB and the Alpine. Yonder hangs it around the outside. And Dubs can't quite do the same. Don't know why he kept his foot in. He wasn't really that far along, but he managed to avoid Yonder there. So that's good. Cow with that slide has actually lost a position to Jack and maybe Callum too. Down the inside goes the Aston Martin. Cow with a switchback and trying another switchback, but to no avail. So in terms of Aston versus RB, we got one Aston, not in the points. We got one RB just scoring a few, and we got the other Aston fighting for the win. Just shows how much things can change. They're starting to get a bit separated. Grush starting to join the party. Eggy nearly losing DRS, the detection point. They've all just passed it. So we'll see who's got it and who hasn't. Oren clearly has. Eggy's just got it. Grush obviously doesn't. Toby doesn't. Samurai does, just about. And Fnatic does too. So Birdie's closed the gap to around about 6/10 this lap from 9 seconds. As there's a swap for the lead into turn 1. Dello once again holding his own against Oren. These two fought for the win in Singapore. Dello doing a great demonstration of defense, but Oren round the outside. Dello slams into the side of Oren, who's got the inside line. Dello goes off the track. I think, well, I don't know if Oren left enough space, but either way, Oren now becomes the leader of the Mexican Grand Prix. I think initially he didn't have there. We see the Mercedes nearly swapping there. And this battle is allowing Grush to close up. He's out within a second. So Oren getting his elbows out. Same with Dello, to be fair. They both want the lead. And they're fighting hard for it, which is good to see. Oren just struggling there as Dello goes off, still with a yellow fuel light. I think he's the only driver to have that. He is. We don't really see that often as of recently in terms of this season, but we'll see. Jack now gets a penalty. Yellows, well, briefly, as a... Oh, Oren! That's why there's yellows! The championship leader, and Samurai follows him straight in! We were seeing Oren lose the car slightly, and he must have lost it on the last corner, because he's dropped before he enters the pit lane, and his rival's just pitted right behind him. So Oren pits onto another set of mediums. Samurai pits onto the hard compound tyres. And now the top two in the championship, nose to tail, as they exit the pit lane. And they're going to be well outside the points. And just behind Cookster, who sees them on his right. And now we're going to see Oren versus Samurai. How quickly can those two make up positions? And for different strategies as well. Meaning Samurai will probably pit for mediums at the end. Oren will pit for hards at the end. But the first round of stops have begun at the front. And Samurai sees him right in front of him. And it will really depend who they catch, when they catch. Because there's a bunch of cars led by V-Dubs ahead of them. As Cal made a pit stop fighting away with Dodo for P16 and last effectively. And Dodo hangs his own as Samurai sees Oren overtake Cookster. So he's cleared a Red Bull. So Samurai needs to get on with it. What do the front drivers do? 2 Mercedes, 2 Haas cars. And they all stay out, it seems. So they're carrying on. They're trying to make the one-stop work. I'd say around lap 14 to 16 is what you really want. As Oren's getting involved in the kerfuffle. He's already ahead of Callum. Samurai's ahead of Cookster. Oren has made up 3 places. Make that 4 places on this lap. So Oren really getting his elbows out. Finding the perfect places to overtake all the drivers. As that's V-Dubs in. Followed by Callum, who has to avoid the Alpine. Callum speeds into the pit lane due to that. So Samurai and Oren freed up a little now. And there's one car in between Oren and Samurai. Make that no cards because Jack is actually fighting back at Oren. Jack ahead, but Oren dives it to the inside. Bangs wheels with the Ferrari and stays behind for now. Oren a bit desperate as he now switchbacks the Ferrari and gets ahead. But Jack has that DRS and Oren doesn't. As we have yellows exiting the pit lane. So Jack fighting away with Oren late on the brakes. And goes around the outside, so fair play from Jack to hold his own. That puts Samurai right on the back of Oren, actually tags him slightly, which actually helps Oren's momentum to get back in front of the Ferrari, who loses the rear, and that allows Samurai to cleanly go ahead. So now there is no traffic for 6 seconds up in front, and Samurai can try and stick with Oren, but he's on the mediums, so Oren might be able to get Samurai out of a second. Here, Callum has retired, and I believe that might just be pressing the button, which it is, as we see Eggy into the pit lane. So Callum's given up, obviously on track, which you shouldn't do. And that's held Dodo and Cal up a bit. So that's one Aston out. Anyway, Eggy's in the pit lane on the hard compound tyres. Can he get to the end? And with all that squabbling, trying to make their way through the field, where is Eggy actually going to come out in response to Oren and Samurai? He's ahead of both of them still. So the undercut, if it was an undercut attempt, hasn't worked. Samurai did not get DRS on Oren either. So Eggy still in front of the Aston Martin. And Jack and Cookster now fighting away into turn 1, side by side with the Red Bull. And the Ferrari bounces over the curb. Slight contact. Cookster's missing his left end plate. But he stays in front for now. So Birdie, who was 9 seconds behind Fnatic, has closed it to 6.6. We know Fnatic likes to go long. Last week was actually, I think, the first time he pitted before his teammate Toby. Grush has been closing up to Dello in the meantime, bit by bit. But if they really want to do a one-stop, lap 14 seems to be the earliest. Because right now, it doesn't really seem possible, but you never know. Top 2 stay out then. Toby sliding out of the last corner. I'm assuming that's what Oren did. But too much. Top 4 stay out. Birdie under 6 seconds now. And Eggy right in front of Oren. Samurai needs to close in a little more. There's the detection point. And it is under a second. So he will get DRS. But Oren should be able to clear Eggy here. As into the pit lane is Yonder. Oren breezes past the Mercedes. And Eggy won't have DRS for the next straight either. But Samurai really needs to get his battery back up. Samurai is usually really good on battery as well, just using a bit too much it seems. Cal with a, was that a second penalty? Yes. So Eggy in between Oren and Samurai then. Cal's into the pits and retires, becoming the 3rd retiree. Simon, who still hasn't joined back in last, probably get disqualified. Grush right on the back of Dello now. Toby has lost a lot of ground to the top 2, and with that, has also made Fnatic lose a lot of ground. So Haas's plan falling apart a little because they were right with these guys. As into the pit lane comes Delo. As the two Haas cars stay out, Grush now becomes the leader of the Mexican Grand Prix, followed by the two Haas cars who you assume are going to swap now. So Birdie's staying out too. Delo, where will he come out? In response, he might come out behind all three of Oren, Eggy and Samurai, as the two Haas cars swapping... No, they swapped. As Oren, Eggy and Samurai all get ahead of Delo, who's now in a bit of clean air. Those are still going to be quite a tough 23 laps to do on one set of tyres. And because Eggy's being able to stick with because Eggy's being able to stick with Oren, and maybe even overtake him here, it's allowing Samurai to stick with these two as well. Because Oren's mediums are going to be falling off soon. So Eggy's back in front of the Aston Martin. And Samurai watches this unfold. An opportunity to save some battery. And the more they do this, the more Delo can get on with it too. But as for the top three, they are making their mediums last more, which is guaranteeing them more of a chance to make the hards go to the end. It's still lap 13, meaning you've probably got to go one more lap, but we'll see what Grush does. He is going one more lap, so Grush currently right now committing to the one stop, which actually is looking pretty good, because look at the Haas drivers. They're really struggling in this phase of the race to get their tyres longer. It was Toby, and now it's even Fnatic who's lost even more time, as Birdie is actually closing up to these two. As Samurai ahead of Oren already. What's happened to Oren? The championship leader. He's been on those tyres for only 5 laps. Huge drama here as Oren wants for the so much is happening. Samurai's now ahead of Eggy, and he should get DRS again to stay in front. So Oren, after only 5 laps, has pitted. Wow. I wonder if his only concern is Samurai, so he knows, because Samurai will probably have to pit again. If he could just hold him, I don't know. If he's just throwing his whole race away like Vegas to stop Samurai, I don't know. But either way, that's bizarre from Oren. Anyway, Samurai's ahead of Eggy. Delo closing in, still has that fuel light. Fnatic's lost another 7/10 to Grush on this lap so far. Birdie, you can look in the background, is on the back of Toby already. And Birdie is not going to be pitting for another few laps. Grush, lap 14 is the number that he's going to be pitting onto lap 15 as well. So Grush should be able to get to the end. And it looks like Toby's going to follow Grush in, as Birdie practically pushing him. Get on with it, as Fnatic will have to stay out one more lap. But he's no stranger to being the last driver to pit from mediums to hards, as Eggy and Samurai might look to work together a little bit. But Samurai's now got his battery back up. Birdie closing in on the Williams. Will he go for it? No, he stays behind for now. He knows they just lose time from that yonder fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Where's he been in all this? He's just past Toby. Jack out there. So who hasn't pitted? As Oren gets past Deadgun. Jack hasn't pitted, Cookster hasn't pitted, and the top two have not pitted yet either. Samurai still stays in front of Eggy then. Oren 31 seconds off the lead. So he knows that right now he is going to lose positions from those making their pit stop soon. I don't know if this is a case of Baku where he's cooked his mediums in just a few laps, but we saw how much he was sliding. And now, if everyone who pitted on hards can get their hards to the end, then Oren's really going to struggle. However, I doubt a few of these guys who pitted onto hards 5 or so laps ago will be able to manage. Birdie finds himself on the back of Fnatic now, who should surely be heading into the pit lane, which he does. So Birdie, who started P16 on lap 16, is going to lead the Mexican Grand Prix. We've had about 4 or 5 different leaders. As you can see in the background, Samurai is closing in on his teammate who played the team game like he has done quite a few times this season, and every time he's done so, Samurai has gone on to win the race. Japan, Belgium, and now Texas here in Mexico. Eggy ahead of Samurai now, as they're both closing up to Birdie, who can't really pit until around lap 20 at the earliest, but you'd think around 22 is probably the best lap to pit. So in that meantime, I guess Birdie will do what he can. Dello closing up. Not as much as I thought he would. I guess because the DRS is that powerful, it's helping Eggy and Samurai. Grush, 6 seconds behind these lot. Remember, Samurai and Eggy might have to pit again. And maybe Dello too. Dello might just be okay. It really depends. We know Eggy's amazing on his tyre wear. It won him the British Grand Prix last season. The tyre whisperer of EXFL Tier 2. It's going to be borderline. And we know sometimes Tier 2 drivers are just, in general, so much better on their tyres than Tier 1, whether that's because they're just a bit slower and they can look after the tyres a little more, or they don't blast all the time. Whatever the case, you never know. So this time next lap, they will probably be within a second of Birdie. So is this Samurai's opportunity to overtake Eggy and then catch Birdie on the next lap? He is very far behind in the context of a second to Eggy as Jack's left. Zoran sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, was 31 off the lead, now is 25. As we see Fnatic ahead of Cookster, who slides into turn 1. Rear locking there is the Red Bull, who still hasn't pitted yet. So Dodo and Gaz on their debut, currently 12th and 13th. I think they'll fit right in with Tier 2. Garush actually losing time to those in front. As Eggy nearly within a second now of Birdie. So maybe Eggy's just getting a bit of a move on. And Samurai trying to overtake the Mercedes in front. Dello, 2 seconds. Now it's down to 1.3. Is going to miss out on DRS. Eggy's also going to miss out on DRS. So Samurai has another chance. Level battery between the two. Eggy is not blasting. So he is allowing Samurai to close up. Samurai blasting all his battery. He's saved up all these laps for, because it's very much worth it now. Samurai up in a P2 then, ahead of Eggy. And next up is his teammate. What about the two Haas cars? I mean, if we look back to this, they've lost so much time from those last few laps before they pitted to the guys in front. But they will have to pit again, I'm assuming. And we'll see if they can make up the time. With these guys on hards, whether they picked balanced or the harder allocation, and they'll pit onto another set of hards or another set of mediums, is still up for debate, because we literally don't know, as the two debutants swap because Dubs is in the pit lane again. Samurai now within a second of Birdie. So Samurai who pitted lap 9. 27, 13, 22. So around lap 22, I mean, both Williams could pit at the same, well, not at the same time, but like within back-to-back laps of one another. But here we go. 2 Williams, 2 Mercedes fighting it out. And Birdie is the only one who hasn't pitted of the lot. Samurai should be able to clear Birdie here. And Birdie has to make sure he doesn't let any Williams through as well. That seems to be what's happening. Birdie letting Samurai go. Samurai has to blast a little more because Birdie knows if the rest blast, it's going to be a bit of mayhem into turn 1. So Samurai has successfully got ahead of his teammate. And now he'll have DRS again. So Birdie has got to blast that 80% battery to keep Eggy, who's right behind him, essentially. So Birdie blasting, Eggy too. Birdie goes defensive to the left just in case. Positions his car perfectly. Eggy spots a gap around the outside, but it turns out to be too wide. And now Birdie can hold his own and go defensive when he doesn't need to allow Samurai to get ahead. Eggy on the verge of track limits there, trying to find a gap that really doesn't exist, but he's trying to make it possible. And you can see the gap going over a second now. But when they get to that start-finish straight, I think there's only so much Birdie can do within the confines of the racetrack. Eggy trying to get Birdie here on the DRS straight. Birdie moving over. Eggy to the inside. Will he play fair? No. Eggy actually won't play fair with Birdie. I thought it would be the other way around. Is that Dello? No, I thought he got wing damage there. As Dello having to avoid the Williams there. So Eggy really getting his elbows out. Maybe a bit too much. Sent it to the inside and sent Birdie off. Whether Birdie was that much further behind that he could have been, I don't know. But now he has the DRS, and he's certainly going to be blasting everything to try and get back in front of Eggy. as Samurai, with 16 laps to go, leads the Mexican Grand Prix, but it is far from over. So Birdie closing up on Eggy. Didn't quite catch him there. Will he be able to get him here? It's not the greatest exit on those 20-lap worn hard compound tyres, but he's still going to go for it, and Eggy knows it. So Birdie's gaining. Will he go for a send? He's not quite far enough. And he goes deep as well for good measure. But he's played the team game. It's not the 6 seconds or whatnot we thought in the past in Belgium or whatnot. But here in Mexico, it's allowed Samurai to at least have a second ahead of Eggy, who is fighting for this win. And by the way Eggy's driving, I'm assuming, hoping, that black screen issue he has is not a thing. So go on, Eggy. Dello will definitely be annoyed because I think out of the top 3, Birdie's held Dello up the most. Grush has only gained about a second now. It seems this second stint on the hard compound tyres, Grush really just doesn't like that well. But to be fair to him, he's on a completely different strategy to those in front because he can probably go to the end, whereas the top 4, I don't think can. Anyway, Birdie won't have DRS. Dello will. And as soon as he activates it, which he has, he should fly by the Williams, who won't put up a fight. So Birdie, who's made it to lap 21 and on to 22, the next lap, when will he decide to pit? Because he might be racing these guys come the end. If all of them still need to pit, this could still be for position. What about Oren now? He was 31, then he was 25. Now he's 20 seconds off the lead. So if they were to pit, they'd come out in between Oren and Cookster, I believe. Grush closing the gap slightly more now to Birdie because he's on very worn tyres compared to Grush. Toby keeping his own against Yondo and Fnatic. Yondo finds himself sandwiched between the two Haas cars. Switching back to tyres because I think for the next couple laps that will be very important. As a dead gun pits for mediums, so a lot of people opting for the 2-stop. Who has made 2 stops? Oren, obviously. Dead gun and Dubs. Keep on tyres. Eggy closed right back to Samurai. And if Samurai does have another set of hard compound tyres, these next couple laps could prove favourable to be when he pits. Dello, I think, just missed out on DRS there. Eggy's got it, though. Birdie staying out another lap. Eggy closing up to Samurai. Isn't close enough for a move. Fnatic ahead of Yonder now because he's pitted after only, well, 10 laps on mediums. So Yonder, who started on mediums as well. So medium, medium, hard. That's that 12, 10, 14 for the RB. Oren on 8-lap-old hards. So, I don't know. He's still got to do 22 laps on them, which is still a bit of a tall order, but I think 22 is probably the maximum. Whereas Grush, I mean, 21, he is with these guys, but he's genuinely losing out to these 3 in position because he's on older tyres. So Oren, who was fighting Dello for the win, has now lost out to Fnatic, Toby and Grush because of his strategy. I think no matter what happens, unless, you know, safety cars and whatnot. Top 3, nose to tail then. But we've replaced Oren with Samurai from the start of the race with the 2 Mercedes who have driven great today. And there's Birdie. No, he's going to stay out one more lap. He's doing what he did in Vegas, going really long, where there's practically maybe not enough laps left in the same context, but it's Mexico. There's a lot more laps than Vegas, so we'll see how that plays out. Should be looking at the lead. Eggy to the inside. He knows he likes to play fair with Samurai, and he is down the inside, over the curb, gets ahead of the Williams, and now Dello spots an opportunity to make it a Mercedes 1-2. They've lost quite a bit of time in doing that. But either way, Samurai's dropped from 1st to 3rd. Not all doom and gloom. I guess he can predict or see when the top 2 will pit. But Eggy's going defensive on Dello now, who looks to turn 3rd into 1st within the span of a few corners. For now, he stays behind Eggy. And that has lost them a lot of time for sure, whether they're focused on that or not. So now Eggy can't respond to those around him pitting because he's the lead driver. Sometimes being in the lead isn't the best thing. It just depends. I guess that's how racing goes. But Dello I wonder if he'll play the team game, because he's right with Eggy, and considering he's on 2-lap younger tyres, I'm assuming they'll allow Eggy to pit first if he needs to. Not really much communication between teammates in Tier 2. So we'll see who's going to pit. No one this lap. What about Birdie? Birdie stays out. And this is the issue, because if Samurai decides, oh, okay, I'm going to pit this lap, and Birdie follows him in, that's going to lose Birdie time. So they've got to be careful here as the two Mercedes do swap, and 1 lap later, the top 3 have swapped around with Eggy staying where he is. And so Dello goes back into the lead of the Mexican Grand Prix. 31, 25, 20. It's now 16 seconds. Oren off the lead. There is a huge gap behind him to Cookster, and will be an even bigger gap because he's into the pits now. So the top 3 should come out behind Oren. And I'm still thinking that Grush will be the after all the pit stops are made, after no one has any to go, any left, Grush should be leading this race. And wouldn't that be quite the turnaround? I think if he does win this race, what's won him this was his very consistent but also quick pace from lap 10 to 14 compared to the 2 Haas cars which didn't have the pace. And Grush managed to hang on to his tyres even after trying to close the gap to within a second of the top 3. He's managed to hang on to those tyres. So, yeah, we'll see if that does end up winning him the race. What about the top 4? Both or all still staying out. Birdie's gone 25 laps after this, at the end of this lap, on those hard compound tyres. And here I am talking about 22 laps or something. At this rate, the top 3 don't even have to pit. Maybe they will go to the end. But that is going to be quite a tall order. An extremely tall order. Especially for the likes of Samurai, who's got to go, what, 27 laps? Anyway, as for Dello, I think being stuck behind these guys a little bit, maybe that's why he didn't close up enough. That has sorted his fuel issues. No more yellow light. So I think Dello's okay now. That might be why he's good on pace, because he's got the smallest amount of fuel left of anyone. I don't know if that'll make too much of a difference, but he's got good pace nonetheless. And Mercedes, at the moment, 1-2. So we'll see how that goes about. Dubs with another time penalty. That makes 4. I'm actually very surprised with the top 8. I know they'd be really good today, but I'm surprised none of them have got a 3-second time penalty. As we're in the final third of the race. And a 3-second for any one of these top 3 would pretty much guarantee them third out of these. But with 10 laps to go, as they cross the line, well, technically 11, it gets more and more to the thought of maybe they are going to just do the one stop. Maybe they can go to the end. But of course, it was going to happen eventually. Birdie cannot go to the end. He has to make at least one pit stop. And he's decided now is the time. 10 laps to go on mediums. He is going to be rapid. Williams, who have 10 fastest laps this season out of 17 races. And most of them are because Birdie tries the hard medium strategy. He is going to be electrifyingly quick compared to those around him. He comes out. Nope. He comes out 25 seconds off the leader. In 10 laps. Let's see where he is. Can he close up to Oren? 10 seconds, 10 laps. We'll see. Fnatic's closing a little bit on Toby, who's closing a little bit on Grush. But at this rate, I don't know if Toby will be able to catch Grush. Fnatic might be able to catch Toby. As for the top 3, I don't know, because Grush is catching them too. If there's 10 laps to go, and these guys have picked the balance, meaning 2 mediums, 1 hard, I guess that's why they've had to go this long. And if any of them pit this lap, they're going to be right with Birdie. So, it's kind of now or never. Go to the end or pit now. They're not pitting. Interesting. Well, I mean, they have maybe 1 more lap to decide, but by then, you wonder if it's too late. If they really are going to go for it or not. So at the moment, Grush... I mean, either way, I think Grush will probably win this. He can probably have the tyres to overtake Samurai and the 2 Mercedes. But you really never know. Birdie, 10 point whatever, 8.6 now. 25 has gone to 22. Oh, God. This is going to be fun. Right, this will probably be the fastest lap of the race that we're seeing right now from Birdie. Fastest lap right now is an 18.4 by Oren. So we'll see what the Williams can do. Two Mercedes out in front, keeping Samurai behind them. Very nice battery for the top two. Samurai, I think, is just trying to stick with them at this rate. He's on the oldest tyres of them all. 18, 16, 14. Whereas Grush is on 12. Same with Toby. Fanatic's on the freshest. And the top 10 covered by... the top 6 covered under 10 seconds. And Samurai is going to go into the pits. So he blinks before the two Mercedes, but is that too late? He knows that, as Birdie now gets a penalty. It was coming eventually. And now we're going to see where he is in response to his teammate. He will probably be behind him with how quick Birdie's going. A 1 minute 18 was the fastest lap. Birdie crosses the line, and it's a 1 minute 17.4. As Samurai exits the pit lane, there goes Birdie past him. So Samurai's behind. And now it's down to the two Mercedes. What do they do? Because surely Samurai will undercut them if they pit. One of them pits this lap. If both pit, that's going to really hurt Eggy right now. Let's put it back to this. Samurai comes out 2.6 behind Birdie, so the Williams down in 7th and 8th. Samurai within 3 seconds of his teammate anyway, so he's practically 7th, and Oren is 6th. Samurai, who's finished 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 9th all season. Oren, who's finished 1st, 2nd, 6th, 8th, and 13th, I think, all season. Swap between Jack and Deadgun, because Deadgun's in the pit lane. There we see. What do the Mercedes do? We are in the final stages if you want to make a pit stop, but they are going for it, are the two Mercs. They're going to try and make their hards last. Well, as for Eggy, 25 laps, and as for Dello, 23. I mean, Birdie managed to make his last 25 or 6. It's possible. But for Samurai, he couldn't quite do it. And look how much he's closed in already on Birdie. And at this rate, Samurai might be able to catch Oren, because Birdie is catching Oren. Remember, he was 10 seconds behind. He's now got it to 4.4. There is certainly going to be, I don't know about drama is the word, but there's certainly going to be some high tension overtaking towards the end of this. Fnatic has closed the gap to a second to his teammate. Toby has gained another half a second on Grush, but it's going to be not enough at the moment. And Grush, the second half of the season started off with a pole in Hungary. By turn 1, he was last. And since then, he's not really had the greatest run. He had that one podium a couple of weeks ago in Vegas, just on the line with Birdie and Yannick. And he said he's been waiting a while. But another win after winning the opening race, winning the halfway stage of his home Grand Prix at Britain to win Mexico. I'm sure he'll be very, very happy indeed. But the race is not over yet. 7 to go. And can the two Mercedes hang on and play the game that they need for one of them to win? It's still down to Grush. It looks like at this rate the Mercedes are going to the end. They're going to try and eke it out. Let's look back to the fight up in front. Birdie will get DRS from this lapped car. Yellows at the front. Is that just... I don't know what those yellows were for. Maybe it was for Dodo. I don't know. Carry on then. Birdie with a bit of DRS. Pulling away from Samurai, who's used all his battery. Birdie 2.5 now behind Oren. Where can Birdie actually climb up to? As there is a swap between the two Haas cars. Toby has let Fnatic through to see if he can now, in 6 laps, close up to Grush. It's going to be a very tall order. 6 laps, that's not a lot. Oren needs to watch himself here. His strategy clearly has not played out the way he wanted it to. And Grush is still not gaining on the Mercedes. If this carries on, the Mercs are still the best for tyre strategy in terms of wear. Because remember Season X Britain, a year ago or so now, where Chubster and Eggy led home a 1-2 because they made the tyres last. And Eggy gloriously won, took the lead of the championship actually because of that. Well, wouldn't that be quite a surprise? I'm sure Eggy would want to win again in Tier 2, and I'm sure Dello wants to win again in Tier 2 as well. One season after he got his maiden podium, a second win would be great news for the Mercedes man. Birdie, 1.4 behind Oren. Samurai, 1.3 behind Birdie. What is going to happen in Tier 2, where we've seen a championship protagonist go against his rival's teammate? It's not always ended well. Sometimes it has. But right now, Birdie knows Samurai will beat him. He knows at the moment Oren might beat him. It depends. Does Birdie see this as overtake Oren, get as far ahead as possible to 3 seconds, and let Oren and Samurai fight it out? Or what does he do? Because that seems to be the best way of looking at it. Because it's only a couple points right now these lot are scrapping for, and these 5 have managed to get ahead of them all. Oren is now 12.5 off the lead. And look at that. Grush has actually lost time on this lap. Incredible. The two Mercedes are still hanging on to this. 5 laps to go then for the Mexican Grand Prix in Tier 2 Season 12. Eggy just keeping his distance at bay with Dello. Dello on the younger tyres, so it's allowing Eggy to just not push as much. And the DRS helps him stay in front for now of Grush. We look to the background then. Oren, Birdie, Samurai. Here comes Birdie. And I don't know if there's a lot Oren can do, because Birdie is going to be ahead of the Aston Martin. Slight contact, but Birdie gets ahead, locks up into turn 1, still makes the corner, and has got ahead of the Aston Martin of Oren. I don't know who hit who there, but they both hit each other, that's for sure. And now Birdie can breeze away. 5 to go to try and create a 3-second gap to Oren. And now we see the top 2 in the World Championship are going to fight on track. The last time they saw each other on track, it ended in collision. Grush is ahead of Eggy as well for P2. The last time these two fought was a fortnight ago in Vegas. It came into collision with Oren into Samurai at turn 3. Now Samurai's all over the back of Oren. You can see Birdie running away in the distance. Grush is up to second then. And Samurai's going to have to wait for the straight. So what has happened to Eggy? He's lost a heap of time. Has he got a puncture? Well, he's carrying on. And that's actually held Grush up a little. Because now the gap's 3.5 seconds when it was 2.5. 4 to go, and Eggy might even fight back at Grush as the two Haas cars are closing up. As Samurai's ahead of Oren already. Apologies for missing that, but it's happened. Samurai's already ahead of Oren. But Oren is now going to blast absolutely everything to close back up to the Williams. And I'm sure Birdie will let Samurai be within 3 seconds at the end. But Oren can see the red light flashing. We've seen Oren and his championship rival come together at turn 1 in the past. Oren to the inside of Samurai. Wheel-to-wheel stuff, Samurai around the outside, but Oren still spots a gap to the outside, goes over the curb. Samurai on the power now, will be ahead, but Oren has more battery, has the DRS, is still fighting away with his rival to the inside now. Samurai breaks slightly later, yellows around the circuit. Samurai versus Oren, side by side. Samurai gives him the room. Great stuff between the pair, and Samurai hangs on to P7 ahead of the Aston, who is really struggling now, down in P8. And Samurai just outside 3 seconds to his teammate. I don't know what those yellows were for. Grush has gained half a second on this lap. It's not enough at the moment. Eggy's sticking with. Fnatic is bringing Toby along with him. And Oren's still trying to stick within a second as Samurai here goes very wide and off the track to do so. But Samurai on those mediums has the grip. They're heading to the detection point now. 8 tenths. I think Oren's got it. 32-27. And with that slide, it's now a second. I think that might be it between Oren versus Samurai. And now Samurai's got to worry about keeping within 3 seconds of Birdie, which he has actually. He's gained a whole second on Birdie here. So Birdie's got to make sure he's 3 seconds ahead of Samurai, but not Oren. Oren gaining, but it's not enough. Incredible stuff from the Mercedes here to still be surviving with 3 laps to go. Amazingly, the top 2 in the championship are still going to finish around the 6th, 7th, 8th mark like they have done the last few times in Baku and Singapore and whatnot. And Vegas. Vegas, they literally finished 6th and 8th. And 2 weeks later, they are going to finish 6th and 8th again at this rate. I don't know if Samurai can really catch anyone else in front of him. He just couldn't make the tyres work. Dello has controlled his fuel, has controlled his pace, and right now is just hanging on. But those tyres must be really falling off because Grush is taking more and more time out of him. And Eggy latching onto Dello, latching onto Grush. He must have made a mistake somewhere. Yellows as Jack is out of the session. That's on a straight, but we've not got enough laps left for a safety car anyway. 2 to go then. 2.3 seconds. Grush has nearly got Eggy outside of DRS as Fnatic has actually got Toby out of DRS there. As a Samurai leaves Oren behind. So, 7 points is the gap between Samurai and Oren heading into this race. If Samurai finishes 6th and Oren finishes 8th, 7 points goes down to just 3 with 2 races to go. But the main thing, Samurai has to make sure he's within 3 seconds of Birdie. Otherwise, it's only down to 5. Either way, he's beating his rival. I think that's the most important thing he's going to take from this. Wow, this race has had a lot. And it's still not over. Can Dello hang on? Let's look at his tyres. They don't actually look that bad. Poor choice of track to look at it in the shadows. But they really don't look that... Okay, well, the front left looks a little iffy. I couldn't tell before because there was grass on it. 1.7. Grush is mighty in that middle sector. But as we head on to the final lap, give it a lap or 2 more, maybe Grush could have had a chance. And at one point, it really did look like Grush was going to win this. But Dello and Mercedes are hanging on. Look at this top 5. They're almost within a second of one another. As, yeah, Oren's falling further behind. Samurai just hanging on to 3 seconds of these guys. Dello has started the final lap of the race. Grush has got it down to 1.2 seconds. Eggy within DRS. Fnatic within a second, but doesn't have DRS. Toby has fallen way off these guys now. So, when they cross the line, the top 4 are going to be well within a second of one another. Grush, Eggy and Fnatic all trying to close in for another win. But right now, it's going to be Dello just hanging on. Birdie blasting what he can. What about Birdie? 59%. Samurai 20. It's close. But right now, Samurai will just get it. Incredible strategies playing out here at Mexico City. And look how close they've all gotten in the end with so many different strategies playing out. And it's going to be decided by just a couple seconds with the top 4. And leading them out in front is Dello, who got his maiden victory in Singapore a few weeks ago. He got his maiden podium 1 season here at Mexico in Ferrari. Well, he's reserved now, but he's gone to Mercedes. And at Mexico City, he's got 2 corners left before he can be a winner again in EXFL Tier 2 Season 12. He's driven brilliantly. He's driven beautifully. Dello crosses the line and wins the Mexico Grand Prix. Grush follows behind in second. Eggy makes it 2 Mercedes on the podium. Fnatic right behind him at the end. Toby 5th. Birdie crosses the line in 6th. But Samurai gets ahead. I think Birdie actually let him... doesn't matter. Samurai beat Birdie because of pens. And Oren finishes 8th. So Samurai did beat his teammate because of pens. Look at that top 4 all within a second of one another. Dello's done it again. He's won at Mexico. Grush, I'm sure he'll be slightly disappointed that he couldn't get the win there. But another P2 podium finish. And Eggy hangs on again for another podium as well. Fnatic just missing out. Same with Toby. Samurai has closed the gap from 7 points down to just 3 with 2 races to go. 3 points, 2 races, 1 champion. And in terms of the Constructors' Championship, amazingly, Aston and RB, 8th and 9th. So only a 2-point change after we lost Callum early on. So 9 points Aston went into today leading. It's now 11 because Oren outscores Yonder by 2. 11 points in the Constructors, 3 in the Drivers. But round of applause, these top 5, Birdie as well included. Even if it's a championship fight, they are giving it their everything, and they are really excelling. Wow. Fair play. Mercedes have done it again. They have hung on to their tyres, and they have brought home victory. Britain, a year ago with Eggy. Mexico this season with Dello. Warren saying his rears were on 50% after 4 laps. That's why he was struggling so much. I wonder if Oren was the same. So that is it. That has been the Mexican Grand Prix. Dello takes the win ahead of Grush and Eggy on the podium, then the two Haas cars, then Samurai ahead of his teammate, and then Oren down in 8th. Not exactly what he wanted, considering he started on pole. It's a bit reminiscent of the start of the season. Every time he was on pole, his race didn't exactly go to plan. The strategy was probably maybe the weakest of the lot. I don't know what the 5 laps on the medium stint was meant to be, but either way, look at that. He got track limit on the penultimate lap. So I'm sure a few of them were very close to a penalty. And if any one of those top 4 got it, it would have been a repeat of last week when we had 4 drivers fighting for the win as well. Of the 2 Williams, Callum, the only driver to be in both the 4-way fight last week and this week, Iowa Fanatic. But unfortunately, he's just missed out on the podium today. But he's still there. Right, let's get the top 3 in. Dello will have to be a Discord call. Eggy might be able to be Xbox. And Grush, yeah, he can be Xbox as well. I'll quickly message Dello. What is Dello's Xbox again? I don't think I have it added. TN Dello. Looks like Oren made a mistake with his strategy. Anyway, I don't know if my party's being glitched or not. Oh, well, never mind. Right, we have the top 3 joining at the moment. First off is Grush, who's joined the party. Are you there, mate?
I am, mate.
Hello, have you included your audio?
Yeah.
Perfect. That's good timing. Eggy's now joined the party. Eggy, are you there, mate? Hello, have you included your audio? Great. Try and get
Okay, what happened on
Dello.
that lap 34? You totally glitched out.
Oh, it was that issue.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get into that in a sec then.
Yeah.
Just quickly try and invite Dello. There we go. I should join in a sec. There we go. I think it's profiles dark though. I don't know if he's able to speak. Oh, there we go. Dello, are you there, mate? I think I just saw him speak. Dello, are you there? Hi, mate. I don't I don't know if you're able to include audio on Xbox app, but
I've just ticked it now.
okay, brilliant. All right, so we have the top three from the Mexico Grand Prix in Tier 2 Season 12 in the party. Let's start off with our race winner. So, Dello, you have won the Mexican Grand Prix, your second victory, one season after your maiden podium. Singapore, where you just hung on ahead of Oren, and today, where you've just hung on ahead of Grush, Eggy, Fnatic on very much worn tyres. A brilliant drive, defied the odds, and it's earned you the best position you could possibly have gotten. So very well done. How are you feeling about that win today and the race in general?
Yeah, the race was good. I mean, originally I wanted to two stop with medium hard, but I didn't because I joined qualifying late. I didn't um get the option, or I missed it. I didn't choose two hard tires to do the race with. Instead I was like, okay, I might as well I'll just one stop. I don't really want to do the mediums twice. Um, but no, the race was good. I mean, we had Oren on the first stint was like always in the DRS, and then next I had to catch up to Eggy, Samurai, and then Grush was closing in on the end. But yeah, it was a good race, good time management and stuff.
Yeah, so you qualified third. You saw the top two side by side heading into turn one. You made it three wide at one point. It was a great battle that ended with yourself leading the race, getting your elbows out ahead of Oren. How would you put the fight with Oren down to? Was it good? Was it a bit iffy at times? Getting your elbows out?
No, it was good. I mean, it's always good to battle with Oren, but um, yeah, I mean, it was just hard racing, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And then bit by bit, everyone made their pit stops. You were 2 laps after Eggy,
Yeah.
and like you just said, you picked. Well, you didn't have the choice of allocation because yeah, you joined in qualifying, so you had to make due. And the plan, I'm guessing, after you pitted, was always to make these go to the end.
Funnily enough, it wasn't.
Really?
I
Oh,
mean, it was like a 50-50 chance. I was going to see how my tires were like halfway through the stint, and I know that's stupid because if you're going to do a one stop, you should manage the whole way. But um, no, I mean, if my tires were going to die, then I obviously would have boxed. But yeah, it worked out, I guess.
so when you also you were the only driver in the entire grid who had a yellow light at the start. So
Yeah.
I don't know if there was fuel concerns, but when you pitted and were a couple seconds behind Samurai and Eggy and whatnot, you didn't close up as much as I thought you would. Was that the stage where you? Because that I think that's after the yellow light disappeared. So what was the fuel saving like?
The fuel saving was never really there was no fuel saving at all. I mean, I've done the same thing last season as well. You just underfuel. You can underfuel in Mexico, or at least with the setup I run. So I always underfuel in Mexico. Um, in terms of catching up to Samurai and Eggy, well, they were battling anyway. I knew they. I didn't know what laps Samurai boxed, but I knew Eggy was a couple laps before me, so I'd be able to eventually just close the gap in gradually. I didn't need to push, and like I didn't want to push and have a mistake or whatever, because that tends to happen quite a bit with me. So um, yeah, it was a case of just catching up gradually, get into the DRS, and then use a straight line speed to get ahead and try and stay ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Fair enough. And yeah, I mean, what a difference a season makes. First podium a season ago to just now your second win in tier two. So very much congratulations to that and well done. Um,
Thank you.
which felt better, today or Singapore?
Uh, I think honestly Singapore, but that's just s- further tracks, a bit more fun. I like both these tracks though, so it does come down to that a little bit as well. But
Fair enough. And if you are racing next week, what are your thoughts on Abu Dhabi coming up?
uh, maybe a top 10 finish would be nice. Not hoping
We'll
for
see how
much.
that
Yeah.
we'll see how that plays out. Recently, you've always usually been right in there at the top due to your pace in both quali and the race. So I'm sure it'll go better than you think. But As for now, very well done.
Thank you.
And yeah, Dello has won again in brilliant, tremendous style. It just seems like Mercedes drivers just know how to hang on to their tyres. Okay, I get the final question. What were your tyres on at the end?
I don't actually know, but
Fair enough.
hang on. I can just check this.
Okay.
I didn't have a tire light. That's all I can tell you. But yeah, that doesn't really help.
No, that's fine, don't worry. If you do know or find it, let me know. But anyway, moving on to our P2 finisher, Grush in the McLaren. Grush, so close, yet so far. To be fair, at one point, with unknowing if the Mercedes would pit, I generally thought you were going to win for a lot of that race. Eventually, after Dello and Eggy would pit, but they just never did. And eventually, we realised they are going to the end, and it's down to Grush if he can close the gap. And I'm sure you were trying as much as he could, but one or two more laps, definitely. But
yeah,
just take us through that race. It was a qualifying of P6,
mm-hmm.
but the race was completely different than that. So yeah, take us through it. What are your thoughts on the race as a whole and during?
Yeah, it was one of my better races, to be honest. It's not one of my favourite tracks, to be honest. High tyre wear, high temps and that, but I managed to get the Haas, not Fanatic, the other one, out of DRS range, and I could control then, my own pace and my own tyre wear so that I could just make that one stop. So yeah, Orange spun out, I think, on lap 6 or 7. Put me up a position, so just maintain my pace, and then that final stint, I was unsure when to push, and the other two Mercedes were together, and I thought they're gonna, obviously run off of each other. Maybe I could protect Dello somewhat. So I decided to just maintain my tyres and then probably push for the last 5 laps, but. Come round the corner, Eggy seems to have either spun out or something's gone wrong, and then his car kind of I recorded it, but I didn't uploaded it yet. But kind of glitched out a bit. 1 minute he was in front, second he was behind. I didn't know what was going on, so I just continued and then just tried my best to get back to Dello, but. It just, he had, especially he had, more one times than me. He had some phenomenal pace, and that just needed them that lap extra or 2 laps extra.
Yeah, exactly. Those few laps from around lap 10 to 14 were a real big key difference between you to the two Haas cars, because your pace to be able to keep consistently good compared to Toby and Fnatic,
Yeah.
I think was why you beat them by, well, just in general. It looked like those two would always go long and they still had good pace, but you were much quicker than them in that stage. And lap 14 was the ideal lap to pit, medium to hard, which you did. So it looked like it was all going to fall into play until we realised the Mercedes would go to the end. But yeah, there was a thing with Eggy, which I'll get onto with him later. But you drove your best, and while it must be a little frustrating to just miss out, it is still a great result. 3rd in Vegas, 2nd today, making your way back up. And that might also be one hand on P3 in the championship, because obviously you saw today Yannick didn't race, so your 5-point gap to him has gone up to 23. Whether Toby or Yonder or whatnot have overtaken Yannick, I don't think anyone has. So that's given you a bit of breathing room with 2 races to go to secure 3rd. So well done on that. We'll see how it plans out after here. But yeah, very well done today. And final question, what are your thoughts on Abu Dhabi in 1 week's time?
Yeah, again, not one of my most favourite tracks pace-wise, but if I can get the strat right, I'm hoping for a good result.
Perfect. Very best of luck on that, and well done today. And moving on to our 3rd place finisher, Eggy. So it was a front row start, another great lap in qualifying to put yourself P2. The rundown to turn 1 was very exciting with your teammate and Oren. You stuck behind in 3rd for a while Oren and Dello duked it out. And then, I guess this is the main question, because I think you were the closest when it happened. What exactly did happen to Oren? I think it was the last corner, the lap he pitted for the first time. Did you get a good view of it?
Um, yeah, from my view, he just spun.
Fair enough. So he must just lost it, and I guess that's why he went into the pits. So that allowed you to move up. I'm very confident you and Dello don't communicate during the races, but it looked like you two had a pretty good control of the race. Obviously, you had a nice battle with Samurai, and trying to get ahead of Birdie. That got a little intense just before the stadium, and then for you compared to Dello, was the plan always pit this lap, go to the end, or like what was the strategy from your point of view?
Um, yeah, for my stop, I was just trying not to get undercut because I was targeting sort of lap 11, but definitely not longer. So I decided to go in early and then just yeah, do the rest of the race on the hards.
And I'm assuming then, like I think you said earlier, unfortunately you had was it one of those black screen moments that
Yeah,
made
yeah.
you drop? Yeah. Oh, that's so annoying. I really didn't know what happened at the time. It didn't even come across my mind because you were second, dropped behind Grush. Do you think if you didn't have that moment, considering Grush finished within a second of Dello, do you think Grush still would have caught you by the end, probably on the last lap or whatnot?
Uh, I don't know. I mean, Dello slowed quite a bit down at the end. I don't know if that was intentional, because obviously he had some room after I was gone. But yeah, I think I could have won that.
So was the plan in the final few stages before the issue to maybe stick behind Dello and then in the final couple laps try and fight him for the win?
Yeah, just trying
Yeah.
to see what's possible and if I have more tires left.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you had 2 lap older tyres than Dello. It would have been quite a difficult feat to do, but I guess we'll never know. But still, you managed to come home for P3. Great haul of points for yourself and the team, allowing you to close a bit more to, I think, Cookster in the standings for 8th, 9th and whatnot with Eggy, considering you beat him. So I think you went in today 1 point behind Eggy. Not Eggy. You went in 1 point today behind Birdie. So I think you're back in front of him now, and obviously you close on Cookster, so that's good. Yeah, well done today. I know obviously what you told me before heading into this race. So I mean it's up to you obviously, but what are your thoughts on Abu Dhabi in 1 week's time?
Yeah, I'll probably stick to my plan because, as I said, I don't know what else to do. I've eliminated the PC as a source of error, the wheelbase. Like, the only thing that still comes to my mind is the monitor. I don't know, maybe I can try that, but yeah, it's really annoying. It's a shame because I enjoy the races like today, but yeah.
It really is a shame. I mean, so what was the fix you thought? What was the fix you did today that you thought would be the fix? What was the change you did?
I was resetting the software from my wheelbase and like reinstalled it and stuff.
Uh,
Yeah.
Because the only thing I can think of at the top of my head is I used to have a black screen issue too, but this was a few years ago, and the simple fix was I just changed the cable between my Xbox to, well, not my monitor but like my TV, and that fixed it. It was just because the cable was a little old. I don't know if that could help or anything, but that was literally it. But anyway, well, you'll have to get onto that later, I guess. But I hope it somehow fixes itself, but the chances are looking slim. But we'll see how it goes in Abu Dhabi in a week's time. That has been it then for the top 3. Well done to Eggy, Grush and Dello on the win. And as for the constructors, gap slightly increased, but it's still very close. And as for the drivers, it's got even closer. 7 points goes down to just 3 points. 2 racers, 1 champion. We'll see you in 1 week's time for Abu Dhabi.